the green jersey competition, two big changes today. First of all, Pedersen's out of it, so he was maybe a top three. No, not maybe. He was a top three favorite for that. He's out. Biniam extends his lead by 22, 24 points or so. He's on 216 points, which is, and Philipsen's on 128. The gap between the two is
82?
88 points, which is not actually that much because we still have some other big stages coming. But Benji, unless the Lee gets on a really hot streak, it should be between those two.
Yeah, it's definitely between Biniam and Philipsen for me. And then I look at what has come so far, and Benny's been very consistent throughout this Grand Tour. 2 victories matters.
The best of the intermediates.
Second in the Dijon stage as well. Like you say, the best at the intermediates, but also Pedersen falling away is not just a competitor falling away. It's also a rider with a team that would 100% go for the more difficult intermediate sprints.
It's an ally.
Where Philipsen might not be able to get there. So now it's Intermarché alone that does that, which means Biniam might have less competition when it comes to those. It's on the other side, like you said, maybe an ally less against Philipsen, but I still see Pedersen being out of the race as a positive for Biniam, which may be harsh to say, but if you look at the facts, that's how it is. And then I look at what's to come. And I look at the stages that are to come. And tomorrow is the gravel stage. That's a stage where both Philipsen and Biniam can score points. That is for certain. Then I look at next week's stages, and I see 3 flat sprints. And in the last week, it's majority mountain stage. I think there's 1 flat sprint in the final week. So there's
Stage
200
16.
points for the winners available across those stages, next to all the intermediate sprints. So it's very much still possible for Philipsen. But as long as Biniam is consistent, it won't be easy for Philipsen to close that gap.
It won't be because stage 18, that's a proper classics race stage, right? And there's also the intermediate sprint placement is not so kind to Philipsen on, say, stage 16. So stage 16, the intermediate sprint is after a 7 kilometer, 3.5% climb, but it's a bit fake news. Like if Intermarché really launch it, and then stage 18, the intermediate sprint is after some proper medium mountains. So not only the finish points, but also if Binny's able to get into breakaways or Intermarché are able to if they're able to make the peloton stretch, he could be taking the full 20-point delta at a couple of intermediate sprints, that's huge points. And then you look at, the pure bunch sprint, advantage Philipsen, stage 10. That is advantage Philipsen.
Yeah.
And I would say now, Benji, if it's crosswinds on that day from Orléans to Saint-Amand-Montrond, I think now Alpecin have got to try to drop Binny in crosswinds. They got to try everything. They can't just be like, he'll beat him at the finish. No, you have to try to take some 50-point deltas now.
And not even just there, but tomorrow on the gravel stage, on paper, Binny's pretty good on that, but he might not have the same team strength on gravel that you'd argue that Alpecin has here. So I think that's a stage where Philipsen should try and outplay, or Alpecin should try and outplay Intermarché on some shape or form. But if we look at the parkour then, the hills are in the middle, the flat gravel segments are in the last 40, 50 kilometers. So how different can you make that stage? I'm also intrigued by stage 15, the Plateau de Bay stage. We've got the Péresur de climb at the start, 7K, 7.8%, and an intermediate sprint after 27 kilometers.
They ain't taking, neither of them taking any points there, I'll tell you that for free.
All out lead out for Biniam on the climb.
I mean, yeah, you can, but unfortunately you'll be a minute and a half behind the people ahead of you.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Binny climbs
funny,
not that well. Stage 14, unfortunately for him, the sprint is at the base of the Tourmalet. Even if it was 3Ks up, he could probably survive a little bit better.
Yeah.
So by my count, I have to check, but it looks like there's 5 50-point stages left. Stage tomorrow, 10, 12, 13, and 16.
Yeah.
Even stage 12, especially as we're getting into the second week, that's a nasty stage. And stage 13 also has a collection of medium mountains, or not medium mountains, punchy hills in the last hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, those aren't medium mountains.
But that's also, I would say, a good stage for Binny. So, but listen, things can change. If Binny reverts back to what he's normally been like in the big bunch sprints, where if he's taking 10th, 12th, and taking almost no points, and Philipsen wins a couple, then they can be level immediately. But he's got an 88-point advantage. Does that mean? But if you're Intermarché, Benji, doesn't that mean that on those first 2 hills tomorrow, the intermediate sprint is behind some hills? Don't you just absolutely nuke it at those two hills to try and. Philipsen's hard to drop though.
Philipsen's definitely hard to drop, but we've seen it wear him out when it comes to those sprints, and that is possible. But it is still
they got to go for it. I think
it's still 83 kilometers into the stage.
I mean, for the IS.
So you mean from the peloton when there's a break already ahead?
No, I mean on those two hills, before the intermediate sprint, make that as hard as possible. There's a sprint at 80 k's into the stage to try and put Philipsen behind, but he'll probably come back.
But to close off that argument, who do you think is the favorite now? Is it Philipsen or Biniam?
Philipsen marginally, because he does look quite good still. My concern is Van der Poel was nowhere today. Søren Kragh Andersen did his own sprint, didn't give him a lead out, which was a bit strange.
I think it was because of the position they were in that he wasn't able to hook together and then launch it.
And it was impossible to move up because Zangler launched it so early. No one could move up. I think De Lee and his team Lotto and Intermarché, they got to go absolutely crazy on the hills, right? Tomorrow.
I think De Lee is out when it comes to green.
I just mean for the stage.
Yeah, you want to make it hard, but then you also think, okay, how many teams will try and win it from the breakaway because they know there's a De Lee and a Philipsen and so forth to begin with?
Not that many. They seem pretty chill today to get beaten by them. Yeah, it's a good question. Who's your favorite for green?
My favorite for green, I've got that one 50-50 right now, but I would say based on Philipsen's definitely winning a sprint this tour.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, he should.
For sure. If not two, because he's been so close so many times, it's gonna strike right at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna say I can't name. Do I have to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna oppose you then, Biniam. Why not?
I have a nagging feeling that Binny will sort of revert to the mean a little bit in the big bunch sprints.
I just think Philipsen will make that small move forward.
Yeah. And suddenly if Philipsen's coming first and Binny's fifth, sixth, but what's clear is that Intermarché are going to throw it all behind Binny for green, which is good and what they should do.
Actually, I'm going to say Binny because I trust Intermarché more based on what they've shown at intermediate sprints.
Intermarché all around him, and their lead out today, keeping in position, was really good. They got
Sweeper Tyson.
Yeah, they're doing a really, really good job. And that would be huge for them if they could win that. But it's very exciting, even though Pedersen's out, which is a big shame. But we do have a big battle between Binny and Philipsen on our hands.